And while we're in a little bit of a quiet session here, I'm just gonna say if you're listening and you're gonna be in Morgantown this weekend and you're a fan of the pod and you want to tailgate or anything, feel free to hit us up.
What is this? What is this? A Lil Wayne song?
Lazy.
lighter flick.
Shit, do I have one? I might.
First down, goes to the sidelines, has a man wide open. It's tipped. It's picked off. MJ Devonshire got space. He's going to take it to the end zone. Pittsburgh takes the lead.
He loves those moments. It reminds me of last year in the Garden against St. John's. And guys just stepped up. Blake hits a what the hell 3. You know, we're like, what are you doing? And he's done that all year.
Klicka out to Bazzario. It's over! The Pitt Panthers have upset Wisconsin.
Anybody if he hits his field goal. Up and got it! Sauls does it again!
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Simple 5 Podcast. I'm your host, Zach Kaminsky, joined by my co-hosts, Mason Kling, Kent Vanderwood, and I'll be honest, we're the grown-ass men that Phil Jurkovec warned you about.
We got no problem booing a kid.
No, a kid, he's our age.
Yeah,
He's 24.
Yeah. Well, he's acting like a kid.
Yeah, he really is.
Booing our peer.
We're booing our classmate in grad school. You know, he's the kid that didn't show up to the group project, all that stuff.
Well, he showed up at the last second trying to take credit, and then we failed, basically, is what happened this past week.
Yeah, he plagiarized his work.
ChatGPT.
Yeah. So I guess you'll be listening to this on Wednesday, so you should probably get to what we're talking about. Pitt lost to Cincinnati 27-21 in one of the most disgusting games I've ever paid money to watch. Honestly, I think this rivals the 2018 ACC championship for the worst quarterback performance I've seen in person. And I say that, you know, Kenny's line is worse, but that was against the eventual national champion, and this one was against Cincinnati. So, where do you guys want to start?
Give me your rant about Phil. I know you got something.
I was gonna say I know what you got on your mind. So,
all right, Phil, you were terrible. 10 for 32 is one of the worst lines I've ever seen. You had 4 completions in the first half, which is ungodly bad. If anyone follows my personal account on Twitter, you'll see that yesterday I actually rewatched the condensed highlights from this game, just taking screenshots of everything that was terrible. I'll run through a couple really, really bad ones to start us off. Third play of the game, 3rd and 10 from the Pitt 25. Bub Means has a step on the Cincinnati corner. I think this is probably the worst play of the game. If you want to go watch this and hurt yourself, you can do so. He's got a step. Clearly, this ball falls about 10 yards behind him. And that's after Bub was slowing down. So realistically, it might have even been farther off. That just sets the tone for the whole day. He just had no idea what he was doing. Right before we missed the field goal, Phil throws a ball to Gavin, who's running up the seam. Gavin's got a linebacker draped on him, on his inside face, and Phil throws the ball towards the inside. And I mentioned this, he's staring down Gavin. He draws the safety over to Gavin. He doesn't even look anywhere else. But more importantly, he just throws the ball inside where Gavin can't go to even contest for the ball. He's got a linebacker in his way. He can't run through him. He's not like 5'5", 100 pounds. This is an FBS linebacker. And just the fumble. Was that the second half fumble? That was to open the second, right?
First play of the second half, yeah.
First play of the second half. He's holding the ball like LaShawn McCoy, which you can't do unless your name's fucking LaShawn McCoy. He has no ball security at all. He goes to the ground and just gets poked out. It's awful. And then as the game goes on, Sure, he had some okay-ish throws towards the end of the game, but at a certain point, it was garbage time by like. And then actually, no. The worst part is it wasn't even garbage time. I believe we got within one score, um, pretty early in the fourth quarter. But even throughout the fourth quarter, he's still throwing balls that are just missing by 2-3 yards away from the receiver. He targeted Bub Means 11 times and didn't connect once, which is one of the most fucking insane stats I've ever seen.
Yeah.
That was
He
pretty good.
didn't.
Oh, sorry, one more thing. And then to have a performance like that, and then go to the media and say, it's stupid that you would boo me. Like I said, 10 for 32 with 6 passes in garbage time to even have respectable numbers. Most of your passes were terrible. I think he had 2 good passes in the fourth. The one touchdown to Canada was nice, and then he would have had a touchdown to Kenny Johnson, but there's some pretty obvious PI on it. 2 passes don't make a game. You had one of the worst. I would even rate this worse than Kenny's 2018 championship game, and then you go out and you're a baby to the fucking media. Like, you act like a spoiled kid from a Pittsburgh suburb. Like, you're Joe Milton. Sorry, Joe Milton. I'm getting ahead of myself. Phil Jurkovec is playing the way that everyone joked that Joe Milton would. Everyone's like, oh, Joe Milton, he's got his big arm, but he has no fucking accuracy. You never know where the ball is going to land. And that's what happened on Saturday. He would throw balls up, and it was just a fucking roulette wheel of where the ball was going to land. I'm shocked he threw no picks in this game.
Yeah, one of the completions in the first half was just a prayer that I don't even remember who it was to be honest with you.
Kanata caught that. It was a duck to Kanata that he happened to be open for.
And then the touchdown too was just a Kanata going up and getting it. It wasn't really even all that great.
No, yeah, it was actually a terrible pass.
I mean, he say what you want. He put his guy in a position to make a play, yada yada yada. But yeah, I don't know. There was definitely not a lot on the good side of things here. My biggest takeaway, aside from just poor quarterback play, was when you look at third downs in this game and you go through the play sheet. And for us, this is probably as a result of poor quarterback play and them not really having to respect any of the passing game. But you just kept consistently seeing 3rd and 12, 3rd and 10, 3rd and 15. And then you flip and look on the other side, and they're getting towards the end of the game when we have to make a stop to get the ball back and hopefully drive down the field. And they're getting 3rd and 3 conversion, 3rd and 4 conversion. You can't be behind the sticks the entire game. And I think that was one of the biggest things. 3rd down killed us. Us.
Yeah. Obviously, super frustrating game. The 0 for 11 to Bub Means, obviously, not ideal. I will say there were a couple of those that I thought Bub had a chance to try and make a play on that he kind of gave lackluster effort on. There's one in particular in the end zone, still slightly underthrown, but he hit him in the hands, and he didn't try and come back for the ball at all, really fight for it. It was a one-on-one in the end zone when your team really needed to play. So I'll say, it's not – I won't say that's necessarily entirely on Phil. One thing I also didn't really like about Phil in this game was his body language pretty much throughout, especially the second half. He was clearly getting frustrated, throwing many tantrums kind of on the field. I don't know if there's miscommunication, receivers running the wrong routes or what, but
you don't love to see that from a leader or a guy, supposed leader kind of come into the team.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a bad look, especially in a tense situation. I get it. If guys aren't doing what they're supposed to do, you got to light a fire, but at the same time, you got to do it in the right way. And yeah, that's just not the look of a leader in a situation like that you want leading your football team. And but yeah, no, I mean, even their first touchdown drive, they got really lucky on a 3rd down, the one that you mentioned earlier, where the ball pretty much goes straight up in the air. Corner falls down. Luckily, Munfield has nobody around him. Ends up being a pretty big play. They go down and score. Without that, I don't know how many points we actually even end up scoring in this game. pretty much the only offense we really had in the first half. And then, yeah, luck. I mean, they hung around. They had some chances, even as bad as it was. They had a chance. Like they even gave us hope to potentially even win the game in the second half, and then it still was just so bad.
I mean, just to speak on that, the fact that I'll get to the rest of the team in a second, but the fact that as a team they played probably one of the worst games they'll play all season, and they still only lost by 6, and we were like on their 30 with 5 minutes left in the fourth. Like the fact that we played that bad and we still only lost by 6, I don't know if it I don't know what it really says, but it is sort of insane. Like I think we're just that much better than Cincinnati, and yet we played so bad that it just we lost the game. And I don't know if you guys don't do you want to talk about Philly more? If I've got everything out about.
I'll talk about like the offense a little bit more. May or may not include Phil, but Gavin. We've been preaching this all offseason. Like, you got to get Gavin the ball more. You see what happened when you did get him the ball. There was one drive in particular. I think the Pitt football account literally tweeted the Gavin Bartholomew drive, and then he didn't get the ball really after. They didn't even look for him.
He wasn't on the field on that next drive.
He wasn't on the field at all on the next drive. It's ridiculous. It's like you see how good this guy is when you get the ball. When you get him the ball in some space, he's able to make some really big plays for you, and it's just frustrating how little Frank Cignetti or I don't know, Phil Narduzzi, whoever, somebody needs to be the one to step up and say, we got to get this guy the ball. He's clearly the best, offensive weapon that we really have, I think. Another point to that, like Hammond, I don't know what Hammond did or what's the deal with that. He's not getting the ball as much as he should either. I think Seba Flemister led our team in carries. He did have a couple good carries. It's not necessarily talking down on Seba, but it's more of Hammond has proven himself in the past to be a very effective runner. And he's a playmaker. And I don't know. It just seems like we're not really Frank Cignetti's not dialing up stuff to get his playmakers the ball.
When you don't get your best playmakers, like the best quarterbacks get their best playmakers the ball, and it's just that simple. It doesn't matter what level of football, it's just what has to happen.
I want to talk about the offensive, both play calling and from a scheme deployment standpoint. Ken, you touched on a lot of stuff. First off, the play calling this game was fucking absurd. I never thought I'd ever have these words exit my mouth, but why the fuck didn't Frank Cignetti run the ball more? They ran, I believe, outside of Phil, 14 or 15 times. Sebo Flemister averaged over 6 yards a carry in this game. Daniel Carter was a little bit over 4. Rod only got 2 carries. It was baffling. The Gavin Bartholomew thing was ridiculous. But
I'm pretty sure it wasn't the first drive, just three passes and out.
3 straight passes, and I'm building up, right? 3 straight passes on the opening drive, and we did start running the ball. This was a concern from last week. The offensive line looked fucking atrocious on Saturday. I mean, Jake Cradle was getting bullied all day. There's a play where Phil takes a fucking 10-yard sack on a goal to go situation, and Cradle gets annihilated off the ball by one of Cincinnati's D tackles. So I did say they have good D tackles, but Cradle's a fucking 6th-year senior. He can't be getting blown off the ball in a goal to go situation. I will say, BJ Williams giving you a pass. True freshman making a start. Slightly whiffing a couple blocks. You're a true freshman. You get the pass. But Branson Taylor, the right tackle, is not starting quality. I think they got to move on to Ryan Baer. There were a lot of plays where he was just getting beat and dogged around the edge, causing a lot of pressure on Phil. I do think that as bad as Phil played, you got to put some of this on the offensive line because they could not really run the ball that effectively. They could for a little bit, but not truly that effectively. And then he was getting pressured all day. Now, when Phil is trying to escape pressure, he looks like the fucking Quap man. His limbs are going everywhere. It looks like he's running through jello. That's a separate issue. And then because the play calling was so absurd and asinine, where you're throwing passes all the time and you're not killing that much clock, the first half defense was awful. I mean, they were on the field for so long, and I will say, they got better, but The linebackers did not play good. They were getting cooked all day, and the safeties looked awful. PJ O'Brien was a terrorist on the field. He got cooked so many times. I mean, he got put in a blender twice on the drive after he missed the field goal. He gave up the long pass, the fucking trick play. On the touchdown run following the missed field goal, he dives for a tackle and just eats shit on the grass and Hines. I mean, I said, I'm actually mad about how right I was about previewing this team, but safeties and linebackers, two fairly fresh rooms on the defense, were exposed last night by fucking Scott. Last night, Jesus Christ, it's Saturday. On Saturday, by Scott Satterfield, of all people. And I mean, they got better in the second half because they actually scored and moved the ball, but you cannot have a defensive performance like that because you've got a road game against your rival this Saturday. You got UNC coming it down the weekend after. And then Notre Dame and Florida State coming down the pipe. This is not a defense that can get off to a slow start, especially with an offense like this.
Yeah, that's all very good points, Zach. Yeah, obviously, football game starts in the trenches. When your O-line, when your quarterback's not playing well, any consistent pressure from the defense getting to him every time is not going to make him any better. He's just going to play more, I guess, tense. Then it's just going to be a downward spiral from that. Same thing, defense. Consistently they were running the ball just straight through, getting so many yards every carry.
Yeah, our D line didn't have any juice until the second half. It was insane to me.
Yeah,
I mean, even then there were times where we needed to stop, and they were. I don't want to say absent, but there was a lot. When it's 3rd and 4, you don't need a whole lot of time to throw the ball. Right, there's quick stuff you can run, but there didn't feel like a whole lot of pass rush. We didn't really put any pressure on them, so they could kind of. That only made it tougher for the linebackers then too, right? When you're knowing that the quarterback's going to have time and you're having a rough game as a linebacker, like it only makes it even worse to get. You got to run fit, you got to drop back, and your head's on a swivel. So
yeah. I will say the one play I forgot to mention, I think sort of encapsulates the whole game. Pitt somehow, this is the 4th down where they turn it over on downs and they don't get the ball back. But it's 4th down pass play, I believe on the Cincy 30, 25, something in that range. The guy who ends the game for Pitt, who is Cincinnati linebacker, I believe he was wearing 49, was completely unblocked off the right side of the line. That just sort of... That is what the game was. And like you guys said, when the D-line's not getting pressure, when the linebacker's playing bad, it all sort of becomes this feedback loop of everything sucks. And I think that at the end of the game, I think there was a lot of fight in this team that had left because of repeated downfalls from every position.
Yeah, I mean, with all that being said, I mean, it's actually miraculous that we lost this game by 6. As bad as everything was, pretty much at every position this week. I guess the only thing there is can't get much worse than that. So,
Oh no, it can't.
You can't play much worse than that. I'll say. You might play a better opponent and lose by a worse score. Turn the ball over some more, but at the same hopefully that was a wake-up call for pretty much every position. Hopefully they get a fire lit under them and they're ready to play this week.
I mean, the good news is we knew we weren't going to go undefeated in non-con play, right? We never fucking do that. So would you rather lose to Cincy or next week West Virginia? I don't know. That's the spin zone, is that we got our non-con loss out of the way, so now we'll go beat West Virginia.
That's a good point.
Do you guys really I don't know. At this point, I think I'm so jaded with this team. Do you think that Frank Cignetti is going to be making these adjustments to his offense?
No. I mean, no.
I don't.
You'd like to think he is, but I agree with you. I know. I told you. I mean, I said it in the pod after the Wofford game. I was not sold on Phil specifically because I knew, when he plays a team that's not Wofford, the things that we were seeing are not gonna fly. He's just, I don't know, man. The intangible, they're just not there. He doesn't throw a pretty ball. He doesn't move his feet well. He doesn't. Yeah.
He gets hit so hard and he gets sacked. I don't know if it's just like how he's built or if because he's really tall. When he gets sacked and tackled, he looks like he got hit by prime James Harrison.
He got blasted sometimes, and part of that is the blocking was atrocious. Part of that is there's one in particular. I think it was in the first half. He kind of rolled out to the left and tried to throw it and just got blasted as he was kind of throwing the ball.
I remember that. And that's one you have to see too. It wasn't even like it was coming from his blind side. You got to feel that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think he's maybe I'm a little bit biased. He's definitely better at extending plays with his feet than anything we've seen, minus Sun Bowl. So I think I think there are people that are ready to ship him off already. I'm not there yet.
I would be more ready. I would be less ready.
There are some people that are calling for Christian Veillere already. There's already some people calling for that.
Yeah, and I
think that's a little extreme.
I also think I agree. Sorry, go ahead.
I can tell you why. I think I would give him one more game. I'll give him the West Virginia game. If he stinks again, I think it would be malpractice to keep him in because of how a college football program works, right? Even if Phil gets better, and let's say he gets better at the end of the year, Phil cannot come back. He does not have any eligibility after this year. So if he drops another stinker next week, right? Say he's completely unserviceable. Say he starts to throw turnovers, because that's the one thing that has not shown up yet is turnovers. He starts throwing picks and fumbling more. I would give it to Veillere, because Veillere's going to be in the program for at least another year after this, I would assume. Or maybe even 2. So that is a 2 to 3 year starter you can start right now instead of someone. Because if Phil keeps stinking, that affects recruiting. That affects, first of all, it affects how your program is perceived. Therefore, it affects recruiting. It affects a lot of other things. It affects transfers in and out. And I don't know. I don't believe that Phil is going. I think Phil has shown us who he is over the last 2 years at Boston College. I don't think he's going to have some miraculous turnaround like Kenny Pickett. So I'm ready to give him one last chance, but I think the leash should be so short on Phil Jurkovec, it should be a couple millimeters long.
I hate to break it to you, but I feel like that's not going to be the case. If he didn't go away from Slovis earlier, you really think he's going to go away from the hometown kid that played for Notre Dame and Boston College? Unless Narduzzi's stubborn ass isn't going to. I don't see it anyway.
I'm saying what I would do. I don't think that Narduzzi's going to do it. With Slovis, at least I see that Nick Patty was not really. He was definitely a less physically gifted passer than Slovis, even if he might have been a gutsier and better player in that moment. But if Phil doesn't get better, there's a path to where this team misses a bowl game. And I think you got to see that. I also still don't think Frank Cignetti was a great hire. I think his offense isn't that great. His play calling was atrocious last weekend, continues to be atrocious, and I think it was a mistake hire. And overall, I'm not happy with the quality of the staff right now. The offensive staff. The defense is fine.
Yeah, Phil's game on Saturday was much worse than anything I think we saw from Keaton early on in the season. I'd say Keaton got hurt kind of around right before halftime in that Tennessee game. I don't think he was really the same after that. But the West Virginia game last year, Keaton Slovis was 16 for 24 with 308 yards and a touchdown. Tennessee was 14 for 24 for 195 yards and a touchdown and a pick. Phil was so bad. I I think I agree that the leash should be short, but I agree with Mason also. I don't think it's going to be that short. There's also like, I mean, Vieira, for all we know, could be worse. Like, I don't know.
I'll be honest. I agree with you. I think it is almost unreasonable of me to think that the leash is going to be short. I think I'm just like being a sort of, if I was the head coach, if I was in charge for a day, this is what I would do. I was watching Christian Veilleux. If you go look up the 2021 Rutgers Penn State highlights, because he got in that game after Sean Clifford got hurt, I was watching them and I was like, wow, these balls get to the right place and they have a tight spiral. So I think my bar has been lowered significantly. Obviously the trade-off is, what if he's worse, which is always a possibility. But there's something to be said about saying, okay, we're just going to find out what this guy has, because even if Veilleux stinks, fuck it, just go to Yarnell. That's another young quarterback that you have. It's another quarterback that if at least someone shows something, you have another year with them, maybe even two. With Phil, if he shows something, at best, you lose 2 more games this season.
I would also be more open to giving Phil, a little bit of a pass if he kind of owned up to it after the game, but instead he did the polar opposite and basically turned against all of the fans and didn't really, or at least that I saw, make any sort of remarks about, I didn't play well. Like owning up to anything, essentially, which never goes over well with the fans, is never going to go over well with guys like us that have a mic.
He's not exactly new to Pittsburgh sports media either, and what those fans are like. Like it's not hard, Phil. If you just say, "Yeah, I'm sorry, I have to be better," they'll probably still love you. But here we are talking like this now.
So the full quote is, I think if you're a grown-ass man booing in that stadium, then you've got to look at things yourself. I think that's pathetic, but we didn't play well enough. We're going to get better. I agree that the team didn't play well enough. Offensive line, I got some questions. Nothing about himself. That is a problem. The problem with the Pittsburgh sports media is a problem with knowing Pittsburgh is a sports town. And I think the cardinal fucking sin of this quote is that you're going into West Virginia next weekend. That is, you have just shipped them 100 crates of unmarked ammunition. You are giving the Mujahideen AK-47s in the 90s. That is a cardinal sin going into a rivalry game. You know how loud the boos are going to be? I mean, they were already going to be loud, but like this is just, you turn the volume up to 11.
Well, he's going to get booed in Morgantown regardless.
But it's just going to make it worse. It's going to make it worse. That's
I don't know if that's exactly bulletin board material for that. That's not something that really makes a difference in my eyes. I think there's plenty of hate there otherwise.
I might be looking too much into it. I don't know. I might be a little bit too emotional about it.
Yeah, I see both sides of that, but I kind of agree with Mason. Like, it's not necessarily bulletin board material. You didn't necessarily say anything about West Virginia.
Which, let's also keep that to a minimum this week.
Yeah, I think his quote, he was like, he had some really weird quote about going on the road. Did you guys see that?
Wasn't he like, I love playing on the road or something like that?
We should pull that up. But basically, just like they asked him about going to West Virginia, he's like, it's always neat to play on the road. But he just said like on the road in like 3 or 4 straight sentences, just like nothing about like, I don't know if
he said on the road, nothing about country roads.
Maybe he was just avoiding bulletin board material and he was just talking like a robot. I don't really know, but it was just out of context. Like it just in a tweet with the quote, it was very odd.
Yeah, I can't find the exact quote, but it was
might have been a fever dream.
Yeah, we might have made that up. I don't think we did. We might have. It's possible. I don't know. I've been sort of ragging on this game for about 30 minutes. I will say,
I found it.
Is it time to bury the tape? Let's just get it out of here.
I found the quote though.
What's the quote?
I found the quote. Jurkovec on WVU. I'm excited playing on the road. I've always loved played on the road. We're going to get ready. It's fun playing on the road.
What the fuck, dude?
The middle sentence, I don't know if this is like a typo or if this is actually what he said.
Probably.
I've always loved played on the road.
I think that might just be like a Western Pennsylvania like language quirk. But do you think he likes
I
playing?
guess
on
it's
the
at
road?
the typo. But
Do you think he likes playing on the road because he played at Boston College for 2 years and they didn't have any home crowds? I mean, I'm really fucking throwing rocks in a glass house there, but I don't know. I gotta get my zings in somehow.
not a bad thought. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he has obviously a huge opportunity to bounce back and win some people back over if he plays well on Saturday, and he has the same opportunity to play poorly again and do the same thing he did this week and make poor comments to the media, and then I think then people are really going to be calling for his head. So, yeah, big opportunity for Phil this week, one way or the other, but there's going to be some strong feelings coming out of this weekend.
Yeah, we'll get to previewing the game in a little bit. Before we move on to recapping the rest of week 2, I just want to give out a couple gold stars. Kanata Mudfield actually did play very well. He had a couple of very nice catches for a touchdown, sort of showing what he can be. Dejon Reynolds looked pretty good in the opportunities that he got. Gavin, obviously, throw the ball at Gavin, run the Gavin play, do the Gavin play. And then Sebo looked very good, 6 yards of carry. Just overall good performance in a limited sample size. Okay, week 2. A lot of big games this weekend. I'm going to start with the biggest one. Texas upsetting Alabama at home, 34-24. Texas is now number 4 in the rankings.
We're back.
We're back.
We're back. We said it last week on the pod. If there was one year that they could do it, it's this year, and they did. So,
yeah, I went back and watched like the condensed highlights. I didn't get to watch this. I was at the stadium. Texas looked better on both of the lines, which was surprising to say.
Their D line's legit.
Yeah, their D line got after Milroe. Also, like Alabama doesn't have like playmakers on offense, which is the weirdest thing to say, but they just did.
Yeah, Texas was the better team
by a considerable margin.
Yeah, they were similar to a couple years ago. I think when I think it was LSU beat Bama, and they go over to where all the recruits are sitting, and they're like, "Don't come to Bama, come to LSU." I saw a clip of the Texas players doing that. A lot of angry, racist Alabama fans too. It was all what you expect from that matchup.
I will say the one thing that like I think that like Alabama, there's a different vibe, right? Like usually if Alabama loses a big game or like a big game or like against another team, it's like a huge deal. To me, I kind of saw the score and went, "Oh yeah, I kind of expected that." Like it didn't have the same vibe as like Texas A&M beating them a couple years ago. I don't know if you guys felt the same way.
I guess maybe that's the Georgia effect. You kind of already knew they weren't going to win the SEC, so when they do drop this game early, it's like, down year for Bama. They're going to go 10-2.
Here I am ready to nail Nick Saban's coffin shut.
Hot seat, Nick Saban hot seat. Next on
hot seat, dude. I genuinely think if never gonna happen. If they lost 4 games this year, I think he would be on the hot seat from boosters because I think they're a little bit insane down there. Never gonna happen, but a man can dream. Moving on, a couple observations. Ohio State and Tennessee looked like dookie at home against FCS teams. Ohio State especially. NC State had an upset bid going into the fourth quarter against Notre Dame and then absolutely pooped their pants. I'm going to pull up this drive chart right now, but I believe they had 3 straight turnovers when it was a 1-score game. Can't even vamp. There's nothing to say here. Oh my God. ESPN takes so long to load now. Yeah, okay. With the score 24-17, NC State goes missed field goal, interception, turnover on downs. That's one way to lose an upset bid.
Yikes.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Notre Dame might kind of be fake good, but I think I'm monitoring that situation a little bit.
They did get they got one first place vote in the from the AP voters.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Beat writer for San Diego State, I believe.
That's so
yeah,
bad,
I don't
man.
know.
That's terrible. Going around elsewhere, outside of that weird vote, I mean, top 25 voters are a special breed. I don't think they even watch half the games. Utah escapes Baylor after Baylor pooped their own pants. Kansas State dismantled one of the top G5 teams in the league in Troy. UNC almost had a funny moment. They needed double overtime to escape App State at home. Mason, you were so close to glory.
I know. We almost got our first one of the year.
I think UNC is gettable. They're gettable if they're gonna pull this shit again.
Yeah, I mean, the App State game with them is always wild, though.
Yeah, that's true.
So I'll take it with a grain of salt. But yeah, they're not quite as wonky as last year with the onside kick stuff and that whole thing. But still, the fact that it went to two overtimes is wild.
Yeah. We kind of skipped over the Utah game a little bit. The end of that game was crazy.
Oh yeah,
the guy not going down at the one, getting pushed into the end zone, giving Baylor a chance to drive down. Steps out with 1 second left. Pass the end zone from like the 25 or 30. They bring the blitz. They throw it to the end zone. Probably could have been called PI in the end zone. Flag wasn't thrown, and they hang on. But that was a crazy ending.
Did Cam Rising play? I didn't even catch any of this game.
No,
he was out again.
I mean, Utah winning games without him is
very impressive to say the least.
Yeah.
I think they get the easy part of their schedule next, so they do have some time to even get him back past here. Also, I saw that PI call, but throwing a pick at your own 30 that the Baylor guys did, that was really nasty stuff. That was a terrible pick that ended up costing them the game. I was going to shout out myself next. I called Wisconsin getting upset on the road by Wazoo, 31-21. They got their pants pulled down on them, and then sort of to run through the rest of the ACC teams. Texas A&M went up, I think, 17-7 on Miami, and then just was terrible for 3 quarters. It got outscored 41-16 the last 43 minutes. Did you guys see this take going around Twitter? Someone put it out that the reason that a lot of the top tier programs, other than Georgia, have taken a step back, like Clemson, Ohio State, and I forget who the other one was, but the reason is that Texas A&M just steals all these like freak athletes and then just does nothing with them for 4 years because they continue to lose games like this.
Yeah, I mean, it could definitely be some truth to that. Texas A&M just continues to disappoint, man.
I think it's funny at this point. I mean,
they'll be top four recruiting every year, and just they're 1-1. They're Pitt. They're us.
Yeah, you never want to be compared. You never want to be compared to Texas A&M unless you're talking about the size of your wallet. Elsewhere in the ACC, Virginia Tech loses to Purdue at home. Purdue lost to who they lose to? Fresno State. So things are looking bad in Virginia because a little bit across the state, Virginia lost to James Madison at home.
That was a good game.
Ranked James Madison, right? Not that week, but this week I believe they got 24 spot in AP or 25.
I can double check that.
Yeah, emotional game because this was the first game in Virginia since the tragedy. So back and forth game. JMU ends up pulling it out, but yeah, I don't know if you guys caught any of that game, but
We were watching the Colorado game for the most part because it was the only one that we can get. JMU got one point. They got a single top 25 vote.
Got it. That's as good as the top 25. It's the same beat writer from San Diego State. It's actually just me.
Even a double agent this whole time. Last two games I want to touch on. Boston College barely beats Holy Cross at home. Almost had another funny result. But the funniest score of the weekend to me is Idaho 33, Nevada 6. Nevada has given up. They're simulating to 2024. That's week 2. It's time to look ahead. Backyard Brawl is coming up. All right. We'll touch on this a little bit. What's your guys' vibe going into the game?
Only up from here.
I think this is a can't lose.
Or a must win.
It's more of a can't lose than a must win.
I'll say it's also a can't lose more than a must win, especially because the three of us are going to be in Morgantown. So I would.
For our personal safety, I guess it is a can't lose, huh?
Yeah.
I mean, the eyes that I think we're going to get on this game just because of the results last year. I know it's a very historic rivalry for college football, but because it was away for so long, for that to be the first time it came back last year, Thursday night on national television, I think that really revamped it for a lot of people that aren't necessarily a fan base of one of these schools, but like the rivalry. Mm-hmm. So I really think it's going to be, a lot of eyes, a lot of chances to right some ships, and beat a rival, beat a fucking Mountaineer.
I mean, the other thing is too, we'll get into this in a little bit, but the slate this weekend is completely bad. There's not many good games to watch. This is the primetime ABC game, so not only is it it's got some juice on it because of last year and the crazy game that was, but it's going to be one of the only games on that's really even worth watching in that time slot.
Yeah.
Which is a little scary.
I was going to say the same thing. I was thinking the same exact thing. There's not really much competition for us this week either. So
where's game day at this week?
Colorado.
Colorado again.
Mm.
Did they go last week? Did they went last week?
I thought they were in they were for the Texas Alabama game last week.
Yeah, they were in Tuscaloosa last week. I think they were.
They were in a TCU week 1.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. Okay.
So
got it.
Not in Boulder, but still.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
Got it. I just want to give a couple of shout outs here because I did put out on the podcast account what would be your funniest predictions for this game. So this segment is brought to us by listeners like you. I think my favorite reply here is WVU is going to score a 1-point safety when Phil runs 98 yards backwards on a 2-point conversion attempt.
It's only 1 point.
It's only one. We one better than 6. Another one I liked, Caleb Junko fake punt to the crib. That I would actually love that one. That would
actually be electric.
Jurkovec hits Means on a deep ball. This one's a little rude, but I'm kind of feeling that one. After our evidence, it might be a little crazy if they hook up for a pass.
Yeah, first time they actually complete a pass, it's gonna be like, oh, here we go. I think on the flip side of that, I don't know if we mentioned this, but I think Mumpfield caught every target he had, so that's polar opposite from Bo Means. I might be making that up, but
do you think they're gonna be yin and yang every week, or one guy catches all the balls, but one guy just doesn't?
Maybe that's why we were throwing the ball 3 times in a row on the first drive just to see who was going to be good today and who was going to be bad. But
who's got the bad juju?
Yeah, but I guess that did not work. So there goes that theory.
Well, theory can only take you so far.
I think one of the other things, anytime you play West Virginia, you got to watch out for that tempo and that sort of stuff that they can go into. They're actually running the ball a little bit more than I guess they have in past years. So I think it's going to be really important to keep fresh legs on front seven. To really, I think if we control that, that's going to be one of the bigger keys to the game is staying fresh up there and run drop blocking.
Yeah, I'll speak to that. So as far as like dudes that West Virginia has, the standout dude on this team is CJ Donaldson, their running back. He basically broke out onto the national scene last year with his game against us in the brawl. He looked pretty good against Penn State last week 1. They are very good at running up the middle, interior O-line. So I think that's really the matchup to watch is our tackles and our linebackers against those 3 guys on the interior O-line and CJ Donaldson, because that's where they can really hurt us. As far as on defense, they have a pretty good senior linebacker who is leading the team in tackles. His name is Lee Kapogba. And then their best corner is Beanie Bishop with 2 pass defenses and interception. Their D-line is good. It's not as good as Cincinnati's. They have produced 3 sacks so far between Hershey McLaurin and Tomiwa Durajai. As far as the tempo stuff, I think the biggest question for the West Virginia offense is Garrett Green, the quarterback. I don't think he's any good. I think he has sort of the Matt Corral arm where he doesn't have a lot of zip on the ball. If there's a lot of ducks, we saw that against West Virginia. I am kind of regretting saying that because I think something bad is going to happen to me karmically watching this game after I said that Garrett Green is bad, but I'll stick with it now. I will say against Penn State, looked very uncomfortable in the pocket. He is very liable to leave the pocket and run. Linebackers got to be on their game, spying him, not letting him escape the pocket. You got to also D-line. You got to keep him in the pocket. That is another matchup that, besides basically the D-line's got to play really good. I mean, is what it is. The only other funny stat I saw was their leading wide receiver is a guy named Hudson Clement, who is averaging 35.4 yards per catch. All those yards came against Duquesne.
That's a Deshaun Jackson-ass stat line, though.
It was 5. I think it was 5 for 170. Or 170 and change. 5 for 170 and change, long of 70, 3 touchdowns. That is a Deshaun Jackson stat line, and then Deshaun Jackson gets hurt the next week.
Yeah. Jeez, that's unreal. That actually might be. I mean, since we're doing outrageous player comps here on this pod now, that's like a Randy Moss. That's more like a Randy Moss stat line with all those touchdowns too.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I mean, regardless, this game is going to come down to the wire. It's a 1-point spread right now. I think it opened as a 2-point spread in Pitt's favor. Pitt, I see right now -1. If you just look at the season stats for the season leaders and just team stats, like very, very similar across the board. Both teams not very good. Let's just.
Yep. These are 2 fan bases with not much to lose. Well, not much to lose, but everything to lose.
Everything to gain.
Everything to gain, everything to lose, but also not that much to lose. It is. It's a paradox, baby. One last thing, defensively, I was just looking at their stats real quick. Through 2 games, they are much better defending the run than the pass, which terrifies me because I know Frank Cignetti is cooking up the most evil, heinous game plan that's going to make me insane. They've allowed 25 passing first downs, only 10 rushing. They allow about 9 yards per attempt, so I don't know. Penn State was able to run decently on them, but I also don't trust our offensive line, and I am just scared they're going to open with 3 straight passes again. I don't know.
Let's just go RPO every time, so we never really.
You have to be accurate to throw an RPO.
Yeah, but I feel like the pendulum keeps swinging back and forth of we run the ball too much, we pass the ball too much. Maybe let's just do both where we don't even know what it's going to be before we call the play. And then maybe it'll just be 50-50, nice balanced game.
What if you're in the triple option?
Let's run the veer.
Don't hate on the Veer. That was my high school offense. I don't know. I don't have an official prediction for this game. I have
We are
zero
marching.
read on what's going to happen. I got nothing.
Yeah, we asked our followers for some crazy predictions for this weekend. Let's hear your guys' crazy predictions for this weekend.
Ben Saul's redemption for missing the kick last week, last second field goal, walk off.
Love that. Okay.
MJ Devonshire repeat.
If you can find a bookie that'll take that, place that bet, please.
I was
MJ Devonshire would be insane odds. Oh my god.
Zach actually took mine, but
Oh, I'm so sorry. Fuck.
no, it's all good. It's all good. I gotta come up with one on the spot here. I'll go. Phil throws a game winner to Gavin.
I like that.
Now that's getting crazy with it. Oh my god. All right. All right.
Or maybe this might be even crazier. He throws it to Bob Means. Completed.
Double pass touchdown to walk it off.
That's pretty crazy. I like that one. All right, real quick. Let's get out of here with our week 3 slate preview. Like I said before, pretty terrible slate. Start off with the games that I think will actually be good. First off, 12 o'clock on the SEC Network. Kansas State goes to Missouri. That's an old big. I don't think it's going to be a good game, actually. I think Kansas State is much better than them, but it's an old Big 12 rivalry, and that's cool. I like that. That game hasn't been played in a while. My upset alert game. Number 20 UNC hosts Minnesota at 3:30 on ESPN. I think the Minnesota defense can mess with Drake May enough to make this game interesting, to say at the very least.
Okay.
All right.
I like it.
Up in the evening, 7 o'clock on ESPN. I'm surprised game day didn't go here because they go every year. Number 11 Tennessee goes to Florida. Probably not going to be a great game, but it's a helmet match. They're probably going to have some good uniforms. Next up, Kent with the Christmas game.
Yeah, this week, Christmas matchup of the week, we're going to go with Louisiana. The Raging Cajuns travel to Birmingham, Alabama to take on the UAB Blazers. It's a 1-point spread right now in favor of the Blazers at home. I am going to go with the Raging Cajuns +1 as my pick for this week.
Love it. Wait, what was the Christmas matchup last week? Can we get an update?
That is a good question. And
was it Ole Miss? It wasn't Ole Miss.
I think it was Ole Miss Tulane.
It was actually Ole Miss Tulane.
Wait, I kind of wanted to talk about that game, low key, because I feel like Tulane was probably the last chance at a group of 5 team in a 4-team playoff since they're expanding. And Ole Miss ruined that. So,
yeah, Tulane was without their starting quarterback. Michael Pratt either got hurt very early or just wasn't healthy for the game. So, essentially, like they just didn't have the quarterback to get on and actually win that game. And like you said, I actually don't think there's a group of 5 team that's even left that's undefeated. No, there's JMU, but I don't know if JMU has like enough momentum. I mean, even when Cincinnati made it, they were.
But they can't make it anyway. Technically.
Oh, JMU can make it. You're right.
So yeah.
The other thing is you got to have like a lot of momentum, right? Like you got to be pretty highly ranked going into the year. Like I think if I remember correctly,
Tulane was like 25. I think they jumped up 1 spot last week. Like it was always a long shot, but this kind of put the nail in the coffin.
Cincinnati was ranked like top 10 to start that season. They've been ranked top 10 to end the previous 2 years because of how good they were. But
yeah,
but like you said, it was a tough loss to see. I don't know. It kind of makes me sad to see because I think with Michael Pratt they would have had a better chance.
For sure. For sure.
Louisiana, UAB, who do you like?
Dude, I can't go against my Christmas matchup expert. I'm riding with the Raging Cajuns as well.
Give me the Blazers. I'm breathing fire.
I said +1, so if you're taking Blazers money line, theoretically, we could both be winners.
Yeah, we can both be right. Game-winning field goal.
Huh. My wouldn't it be funny of the week. Talked about this team a little bit earlier, but we have the Texas Longhorns against the Wyoming Cowboys. Would just be very fitting for Texas to be back and then lose a stinker. Wyoming played spoiler against Texas Tech. They proved they can play with some of those big dogs in the Big 12 that like to run it up. So I don't think it's entirely out of the question.
I was going to say Wyoming already pulled one off this year, so not out of the question. But that would be that is a good choice for. Wouldn't it be funny? Because that would be funny.
It would also be funny just for Texas to Texas it and do that. And if they were to lose this game, right, it would be the funniest possible way to lose it because Wyoming just turned this game into a rock fight and make everybody miserable while they're playing this game. So not only would it just be funny in like a regular sense, it would be just an extremely funny loss for Wyoming to go ahead and beat Bama and then lose to our quirked up white king, Mr. Peasley. You know what? Cowboys tame Longhorns, baby. Let's ride.
It's true. That's true. Bevo's in for a beating. No, dude, this one was like barely made my wouldn't it be funny because I'm sneaky. I kind of like when Texas is good. I don't know.
I feel that.
It just feels right. So I don't know. I kind of, if anybody was going to come out of the Big 12, I'd probably have it be them.
I'm a K-State guy myself.
Yeah, not everybody gets the burnt orange, man. It's a lifestyle.
God, we got some Texas double agents in here. This podcast is going all the way to hell. I don't know. I think I kind of agree with you, but also I think it's a little bit funnier when they're bad or when they just drop a stinker like that. Last game before we got out of here, game day, Colorado State at Colorado, 10 o'clock on ESPN. Weirdly late game. I have no thoughts. Colorado's going to win. Probably going to win. How far do you think they jump up in the poll after they win?
Yeah, I don't know, but the line of 23.5 feels like free money.
Colorado State is bad.
Yeah. I don't know. If they're a 3-0 Colorado team, they have some pretty quality wins. National champ runner-up week 1. It might jump up to 14, 15.
Yeah.
I didn't realize this, but Colorado State has only played one. They had a week 2 bye week. Am I reading this right? Colorado State had a week 2.
They're well rested.
They played 11 straight games to open the year. That's insanity. Oh my god. The AD who did that should be fired.
Maybe they're going to do the Bishop Sycamore strategy and play a game on Friday and then Sunday.
I'm double checking the schedule.
That dog is crazy.
Yeah, dude. Maybe in the offseason, that's what we should do is like review football documentaries or something like that.
Okay, you can do that.
Yeah.
Figure that out. All right. All good?
Yeah, I think so. Obviously, locked in now.
We're locked
Big
in.
one.
It's bricks. This has been Simplify Podcast. I've been your host, Zach Kaminsky. I've been joined by my 2 wonderful, beautiful, sexy co-hosts, Mason Kling, Kent Vanderwood. If you like the show, give us a follow on Twitter at SimplifyPod. You can find our personal Twitters in the show's bio. And with that, see you next time.
Hail to Pitt.
Beat the Mountaineers.
Ho, ho, Mountaineers.